everyone to my chess stream here on Lead Chess and Twitch. International Master William Paschall. We're going to be playing some unusual openings. I'm going back to my Weird Wednesday, which I do play stuff that I wouldn't normally play, kind of fun openings and unusual stuff to make it kind of interesting. So I don't expect you guys to go out of your way to play crazy openings. I'm not going to play anything like really incorrect, like 1h4 or f3 or something like that. I don't want to play like totally silly stuff, but openings that I wouldn't normally play, gambits and other fun lines I want to include in today's stream. So it makes it kind of an interesting theme for the day. Hopefully the stream holds up, and we've got audio, video, frames. I increased the frame rate slightly, so the video should look a little bit better. We had a viewer tournament yesterday. Aldisto won, Liberian second. I was third. World loser just outside the money, usually on the bubble, but I made it to third place somehow. I didn't do any berserking. Every Tuesday night we're doing a Blitz tournament here, or classical, here on leadchess.org. So I'm hosting that, and let's see what we got here. We're just starting. I don't see the stream myself. Hopefully it will be up momentarily. I might have typed in something wrong in my stream title. Yeah, whoops. I didn't put leadchess.org in the title of my stream. Now it came up instantly. That's pretty fast. I've got a challenge from Aldisto, our champion. Weekly champion in this new account from Serbia, Lucky Kentucky. Actually, Lucky Kentucky. Kentucky, the phonetic spelling for Kentucky. Looks like a pretty decent player, 2200. Maybe somebody who's already played on the stream with a different account. So welcome, guys. Aldisto's challenging me to chess 960. I'm going to go ahead and play. That's an unusual opening. I haven't seen Troll on a roll here. This is a guy who was regularly watching the stream, I think from Russia. He's kind of funny and would always challenge me to chess 960. If you guys want to play chess 960, I'll play up to 2 games per stream. We usually have time for about 10 games in one of my streams. That's 2.5 hours. So 2.5 hours. On average, maybe 15 minutes per game. That works out to 10 games. And yeah, I don't want to spend like the majority of the stream on chess 960, but it is fun to get a couple interesting games. Anyway, today's theme is unusual openings. When we do play normal chess, I'd like to play gambits, maybe fun variations that I normally don't use. So we're not playing the same old boring repertoire that I typically employ. But Aldisto with b4. I mean, anytime you play b4, you're kind of weakening some squares, in particular a4. But he's actually preventing me from fianchettoing my bishop. Now, he could have played b3 instead, but he's thinking about his rook. He's thinking about the knight on c1. I'm taking advantage of the fact that my clock isn't running. If this is a tournament, I would get forfeited right now for not moving in the first 20. This is a good move. Opening up the bishop on g8, denying his long diagonal. The only disadvantage is that I can't fianchetto, but I can't fianchetto anyway. Anyway, guys, welcome to the stream. Aldisto is a regular. He's been watching the stream for at least a year or so. Good to see guys like that coming back and hopefully improving their games. Hopefully you guys are helping me improve my game. Unfortunately, I haven't had the chance to play any tournaments since the beginning of June, and that's not really good. I was really hoping to get back into chess. I mean, as far as like regular tournament participation. But I've had too many financial responsibilities that require me to work almost constantly. Really not Bob. How are the allergies? You're sounding better. There's kind of like, there seem to be 2 levels of the allergies. There's like manageable and unmanageable. And for a few days, I had kind of peaked out at the totally unmanageable level. But right now I'm at the like bearable stage. I have it. My eyes are watering, and I was sneezing before the stream, but it's not out of control. Like, I can't stop sneezing at the moment. Never had anything as severe. I had bouts of allergies here in Budapest in the summer. I never had it so bad in the U.S. But there was a time I remember when I first came to Hungary around 1997 or 19. It was 1998, I guess, when I came here for the summer, for the first time in the summertime, and I remember that was almost 20 years ago now. So that in '98, I remember sneezing like nonstop at one point in like July or August, but I've never traditionally had severe allergy problems. And this is just like almost unbearable, but it's a little better today. Thank you for asking. Aura Night TV, Lucky Kentucky cocktail. What's up, guys? Good to have some strong players here. Aldisto and Liberian. Liberian started off great in the viewer tournament yesterday, and then sort of faded out when he started to play. I guess the other strongest players, but he was totally winning against me. That was the only game where I was lost. Actually, now that I think about it, I was probably close to lost against Aldisto too. We didn't really analyze that game. We'll take a look at that maybe when I get some time. Aldisto had a pretty big advantage against me as well. Maybe just like positionally winning, but I was just tactically lost. So both those guys deserved winners of the tournament yesterday. I lost one game, I drew one. I lost on time in a drawn position, but nothing you can do about it. It's 5-0. There's no crying about losing on time. I'm going to play a viewer tournament every Tuesday with different kind of time controls. I like 5-0, but it doesn't really give me time to commentate effectively on the games, which I like to do. Obviously, I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't enjoy the commentary. A little bit hard to get my pieces out right about now in this position. My queen also would like to get into the game. Queen is kind of hurting here. I understand playing b4. I have the temptation to do the same, actually. I don't know what to do. g6, bishop g7 seems kind of inefficient. Knight b6. That's kind of a weird move. Actually inducing a4, a5. Knight b6 if a4, a5 myself. I don't like the look of it. It looks too weird. I'm going to go here. My position is a little bit passive. It feels a little bit passive, but it's a pretty much closed position, so no big deal. We ever see the day playing a bullet tournament? Well, does 2-0 count as bullet on Lichess? Even back in like 1995 when I started playing online regularly. I played even before that when there was like the first internet chess server, but when they started to have, you know, bullet chess started to exist, the idea of bullet chess, I mean, 2-0 counted as bullet. Does it still count? I don't really see 2-0 tournaments on Lichess, though. To me, it's a massive difference between like 1 minute and 2 minute. I would probably play 2 minute, but the 1 minute just gets to be like, feels like it's just a mouse clicking contest to me. I never want the like primary focus to be on just clicking the mouse. So how am I going to develop the rest of my pieces here? Creeping out. The queen on a1, sort of keeping an eye on things. I would do 2 minutes, no problem. But the 1 minute, I don't know. It's a little bit ridiculous. My friend, speaking of Serbia, Lucky Kentucky, My friend Zlatko Linčić, he's even older than me, and he even plays Bullet. I mean, he likes to play Bullet, and then even does like special openings. Like he'll play the black side of, let's say, the white side of the Pierts, and do e4 with white, and the guy will go d6. Zlatko will play like e5, so that he takes off people's knights on f6. I mean, that's, you know, that's funny and all, but I mean, it seems like kind of a little bit insane. All right, you know, the people who go like g3, and you do like, what is it? Let's say d5, bishop g2, bishop h3, and give away a bishop, you know, like to try to like take their bishop off. I mean, it's sort of insane. Not chess as I would like to think of it. I'm thinking about playing centrally here, but I don't know about this move. I'm giving him kind of a lever for b5 takes c6. Having trouble finding a better plan than fighting for the center here. Fighting for the center is good. Mate on d6, no. Almost. I have this move if need be. If like knight f5 takes knight d8. So what I'm saying is, if it gets to the point where we're playing ridiculous moves, I mean, just because it's bullet chess, like in the opening, it seems kind of silly to play e4, d6, e5 because the guy might play knight f6. I mean, a grandmaster doing that, it's kind of perverse. You're still recording? Unfortunately, I didn't play more than 1 year, I guess. Said Lucky Kentucky. Oh, you mean you haven't been here for more than 1 year? I didn't know what you meant when you said recording at first. Okay. I thought you meant my stream wasn't working or something. You know, you have like this record feature instead of like streaming or something. I feel like I'm creating a coffin to checkmate myself with. b6 followed by d5. Alright. You see, the problem is when you telegraph your moves, you know, it's like obvious what I'm trying to do. I like it when there's some questions about what I'm trying to do. Another problem here is that he can play knight f5, really threatening smothered mate now. My king is not safe on the queen side, so castling queen side was out of the question there. I want to play d5, obviously. He's stopping it, now b6. b6 followed by d5. But I've given him this lever on the queen side. Word of the day. Lever, or lever. I like lever better. Lever sounds like lemur, and reminded me of a story from many years ago. I had a bicycle that got stolen and my roommate called it the lemur. I don't know why. We played 2015, I think, remembering my daughter. Oh, it's in Vasas. Okay. Vasas is close to Budapest. I remember your name, but I can't remember it. Not Lazic. I want to say Lazic. He's giving up the center, folks. That's a good sign. Aldisto. Oh my God. That's why he gave up the center. I was like, what? Please let me develop my pieces. I'll sack a pawn. I'll do anything. We have lost a pawn. Sacking exchange doesn't seem to work. Almost, but no cigarro. Okay, I've got to get out of here. I'm a down a pawn, but it's okay. We're going to get all our pieces developed and have some sort of nebulous compensation for our sacrificed pawn. At least we're going to be coordinated when we finally complete our development. Black's a little bit backward on the central file, so we have some kind of theoretical compensation. I was just a little bit concerned about queen c4. Probably I can play rook c8 there. Hopefully. More pressure. Just what I needed. Damn, dude. You ever stop? How does he have more pressure now? It's not fair. God, dude. Leave me alone. He's up a pawn and increasing the pressure with bishop c4. Doesn't seem fair. Oh no, he had bishop takes b6. Does that work? Now knight f5 as well. Good God. He just like relentlessly doesn't stop. I'm trying to castle, but I didn't click my rook, which is a requisite thing. Man, Aldis though. Excellent piece coordination, but he's just leaving his king in the center. Doesn't seem fair. Okay, well, we get out of here. All of our pieces developed, but we're just down a pawn. Coordinated in this horrible pin, though. I've got to trade that white square bishop off. That's my good bishop, too. Oh, man. Come on. What do I do now? My only hope is like winning on time or something. Knight f4 is no good. He's got really no weaknesses to speak of. Well, a5. I want to get out of this pin. Structurally, what structure I have left is better than his structure. I have less structure to be good, though. Oh, man. Oh, no. So I have to take this? Just losing a piece. I don't know, I have to sack my queen or something. Everything's hanging. I only have 2 pieces for a queen. That's good. Well, nice game by Aldis, though, who's just been dominating me completely. The last couple of games, every time I'm in a lot of trouble, he's played very well. We were also in deep trouble in my game. And he's defending and attacking at the same time here. Deep trouble in my earlier game. I mean, I'm lost here. It's just a matter of white having good technique to finish me off. How about my knight? The white squares are just chronically weak in my position. Now this pawn is extremely disruptive as well. 2 pieces for a queen. 2 pieces for a queen and pawn. Whoa. Yeah, that'll do it. I have just a rook for a queen. Okay, good game. Nothing to do, man. I want to see the graph here. I think I'm just like worse the whole game, never equalized, and pretty flawless performance by white. Aldisto, I think, should be... Well, he should be around the same rating in chess 960 that he is in regular chess, I would say. 1965. 3 inaccuracies. Probably has even better moves than he played, but I think he was just clearly better the whole game. I never managed to equalize out of the opening. I don't think I was ever equal this entire game. He just pretty much had the advantage entire way. Impressive. As I mentioned earlier, I think my position was a little bit passive coming out of the opening, but I couldn't find anything. Here it says 0.4 at one point. Knight f4. What did I play? This move. This was a bad move because it wasn't really necessary. Okay, to uncover pressure on my own, you know, to kind of pin my own knight in a sense, because it seemed logical. But I actually create another pin, so... You know, but here I'm actually down a pawn. I mean, I'm surprised the engine says just 0.4. Anyway, I was better at one point. At this point, the computer says I'm better because I had a tactic, just a capture on b4. I didn't see it. Good. Alright guys, well, it's the first game for the day. I lost against Aldisto, our tournament winner, our champion for the week. We've got challenges from Lucky Kentucky, Trouts, Ara Knight, all of which are good players. Ara Knight was from, I thought you were from Germany. Did not have Queen G6. I was already attacked like twice on f7. Now the idea is today I'm going to be playing unusual openings. Most of you guys were watching my stream at least back in the springtime when I was playing more unusual stuff. You can even play 2+1 bullet. Yeah, that's a good time control. So I said unusual openings. It doesn't have to be ridiculous, but something a little bit outside my normal repertoire. So let's try the Owen defense. It's kind of a passive line, though. I really prefer to play... I know the French Grandmaster Christian Bauer plays this among a few other players, but he's the most notable one. I think a6 with the extended fianchetto is more active for black. The problem with a6 and b5 is really that white can undermine your pawn structure with a4. Lucky Kentucky. 5+3. You guys feel free to challenge me to anything up to 8+3. I don't like losing my first game of the day. I don't like losing in general, but the c3 against b6, why not? I mean, if you can play it against the Sicilian, it's got to be good against b6. It just kind of gives you like a kind of passive setup, I guess, a relatively passive setup. It's a little awkward to protect the e4 pawn here. You know, d3 is d3 is not really ideal, but if you want to play the King's Indian attack or something, then I guess it doesn't really matter. You can do that against everything. But Kentucky is not trying to refute my opening by any means. Against Aldisto, I did like a double fianchetto yesterday in the viewer tournament, and it turned into a closed Sicilian. I really never know what to do other than play c5 if I'm forced to just revert to my normal mode of play. I just feel like c5 is the only natural move. Poor Karpov. Yeah, Karpov, that was a good game by Miles. I mean, I could play c4 here, actually. He could take and give up the central pawn. But I'm not sure I should play c4. I mean, I think objectively c4 is a move, but it's probably not my best. Alright, this is basically a blitz game. So I'm going to play a little faster. I had good practice yesterday playing 5-0 in our viewer tournament. But it's morning again and I'm just waking up. Basically, I play better in the morning, but I need like that first half an hour to kind of like get up to speed. Two draws in the World Cup yesterday. The MVL game was probably mostly book, and I mean, even at the end, Aronian could have played for more. Now this turns into one of these like knight a3 Zvaigintsev variations. Zvaigintsev like 10 years ago started playing knight a3 on move 2 against the Sicilian. It can transpose to various weird kind of closed Sicilian lines with knight a3. Alright, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the French defense type of structure. But everyone who plays the Sicilian has to play some version of the structure at some point. I used to play e6 Sicilians. Now he just dropped his knight on b5. I mean, that feels somehow kind of premature. Premature. Another question for linguists. Premature or premature? Guys, who do you pick to be the World Cup champion? If you play knight d6, I can win a pawn. One would assume. One would assume I can win a pawn. What price pawn? No, I mean, you got to play bishop g3, I think, and then on something like queen b8, you can play d4. I don't think this is quite as good for white. I mean, you still may get some compensation, but the other way with the bishop on g3 connecting kind of indirectly with that pawn on d6 looks even better. That's I was planning to play e5, bishop g3, f6, d4, and then queen b8. I'm like winning a pawn, but feels like I'm a little bit loose. My position's a little bit loose. Maybe white has something there, I don't know. But this doesn't look like white has a lot of compensation for the sacrificed pawn. Now, how did that pawn get there? It went through e5. Yeah. So he doesn't really have too much. A little bit here. Some weaknesses, but that shouldn't be enough. It's a blitz game. after playing Aldous, though, I feel like my chances are better. He won the tournament yesterday in dominating fashion. Beat me today, this morning. So, guys, please subscribe to the channel here on Twitch. Slaggy. We need support to keep it going. I've lost some viewership since we moved from the US back to Europe. A lot of our viewers from the United States probably can't watch the stream very often, so we need some of you European guys to pick up the slack in terms of viewership and subscriptions. Knight g5 is a good idea to try to play f4. But objectively, I'm just a pawn up here. I don't like his knight on g5. I could have played f6, I guess. A little bit less weakening. Now he played this. Developing our last piece. One would think about knight h3 there, just so he can go through with f4. God, I feel like I'm overextending myself. The pawns themselves are strong. This is quite a ominous pawn center. Just the rest of my pieces, my knights and my bishop aren't really well coordinated. Objectively, White's losing, though. He lost a key central pawn. He could have played bishop g3 instead of bishop e3, I think, with a lot more compensation. I mean, at some point he probably should have played d4, I thought. Now we're coming through with e4. A really good Benoni. And ultimately this bishop on the long diagonal, the e5 square. Speaking of queen g6, it is an idea. Still not easy to finish White off here. There's no death blow. f4 doesn't work. Almost. I don't know what to do. I'm just a little bit short of time. Does this work? I guess I have to do this. Not really happy about this, though. There's no easy way to win. I'm just gonna take like a long time. Closes all the lines, so I'm gonna have to slowly win with this passed pawn on d4. He might have been able to play rook takes e4, actually. Not a lot of time. Fast time control. 5+3. Little Pingwing, welcome. Missed our Blitz tournament yesterday. 5-0. Aldous Stowe was the champion. He rubbed it in by beating me in our first game today here in Chess 960. I managed to finish third. Guys, please subscribe to the channel. Also, check out my YouTube channel, Video Chess Training on YouTube. Yeah, it's kind of locked now and hard to break through. He is sort of suffering from no space, a lack of space. We've got enough time. Protected pass pawn and space advantage should be enough for me to win, but it's not going to be like really, you know, easy. Bishop e4. It's hard for him to use this dark squared bishop effectively. Queen and knight. Maybe even g5. Not quite sure what I was planning on here. Queen and knight coordinate best. Now he can create a passed pawn on the queen side. My king needs to be inside the square of the pawn, basically. Luckily his king can't approach. The knight lands with check. Maybe this, going for this guy, is the easiest. I'm still a little bit, I think that's it. I'm still a little bit asleep here. I managed to start the stream on time. I don't know if he was ever okay. The pawn sacrifice looked pretty speculative, but this is how the knight got on d6. Yeah, this position was the key moment. I mean, if you play bishop g3, I think you have some kind of glimmer of hope, because you can play for d4 and try to keep or hold on to that pawn on there, but otherwise white didn't really have enough compensation. Trout 7+2, my favorite time control. The best hand in poker. Hold'em 7-2 offsuit. Alright, it's e4. I need to play some unusual openings. Let's see. Even the Alekhines defense, or Alekhine, doesn't seem really weird anymore. I play that all the time. So I'm going back to my Weird Wednesday stream here. Let's play knight c6. That's less common than the Alekhines defense. You want a raid of 5 viewers. Mikey Slice. A raid. We'll take all the viewers we can get. Alright. Meeting Trouts with knight c6. I'm not sure I've ever played this against him. I don't remember. We've only played 2 games. I guess not. Not likely. I was thinking he was a different guy. We had more games. Just 2 games. Now, typically, I play d6. But in the interest of Weird Wednesday, I'm going to play the main line here, which is d5. Raid is the correct term. A raid is the correct term. d5. I've played Curious as a correspondence game from his early career, which was really what influenced me to play this variation with white. Knight c3. But objectively, it's not that dangerous for black. e5 is the main move, sir. So, I had a student years ago who used to play this for black. Briefly. Not too many people I've known have played this opening. He was a legendary player from New England. Sounds like the beginning of a story. Basic Twitch knowledge. Good job, little penguin. Of course, you know, it sounds like something from World of Warcraft. But a raid is a raid. Bishop f5 is the main line. I've also seen people play f6, but it's pretty risky to play f6. I mean, I'm not sure Nimzovich himself would approve of that. Anyways, later. Victor the Terrible. In his early career, I saw a game where he played the Nimzovich defense. But RIP. There's occasional world-class players who play every opening, like Ivanchuk. Korchnoi was another one. He had his favorite openings though, but Korchnoi would experiment with a lot of different stuff. I was looking at his younger games, and he really played like everything. I mean, he played like almost every opening. It's pretty amazing. Best regards, Lucky Kentucky. Thank you. No, I remember you. I just can't remember your last name. It was like Lazic or something, wasn't it? C4. C4 going right for it. It kind of makes sense. Turning it into like a Chigorin almost. I don't want to give up my strong point in the center, but at the same time it's kind of hard to develop my pieces here. What am I supposed to do? Queen d7? Take on b1 and play like bishop b4 check and just trade a mess of pieces? That seems really weird. Queen d7? I don't really like this position a whole lot. You know, White could even play c5. Maybe that's going a little bit too far. I don't know. Queen d7 maybe not the safest move for me either, but I'm just, you know, sure that castling queenside and doubling up the pressure on d4. Yeah, Mikey Slice is hosting me for up to 3 viewers. Thank you. I like the way the Trouts is playing. I mean, c4, very aggressive move, but it makes a lot of sense. Probably the safest for me is to play bishop e4 check, just getting my pieces developed. It's basically like a Chigorin. Guys, this is not my normal opening repertoire. I will occasionally play the Nimzovich defense with black. I played it in tournaments, mostly against weaker players, under 2400. I remember once I beat like a 2300 player with knight c6. But I would typically play like d4, d6 as Miles did. Second Miles reference today. C takes d4. Anyway, he exchanges on d5 toward the center, and it feels like I'm playing the Albin counter gambit or something. This move looks a little slow, but not bad. I mean, he does weaken these squares a tiny bit, but okay. You sort of confine me and don't let me develop actively with bishop b4. It's probably not a bad move. It wouldn't be my first choice. It wouldn't be my first choice with white, but it does restrict my pieces quite a bit. So here we are, playing with black something that looks like a hybrid of the Queen's Gambit accepted, the Chigorin, and the some sort of like Albin counter gambit. Maybe h6 is worth considering. Caro Khan style. I hate the g6 knight. I'm a hater of g6 knights, I have to admit. Good heavens. So we'll play like Prohaska. Prohaska is a young Hungarian GM. He's a Caro Khan guy, and he likes to maneuver like this in the advanced Caro. But it always sort of grossed me out. I just can't really see, you know, doing this voluntarily. In this position, though, I guess this opening in the Nimzovich, come to think of it, you can see this move from time to time. And bishop e5 doesn't bother me too much, actually. He's threatening queen a4 to smash up my pawns. But we were going to b6 anyway, stopping queen a4, taking away the bishop's square. If a6, I can now just kick him out. So it doesn't seem so bad for me. The knight just basically gets out of the way so I can develop the rest of my pieces with bishop e7. You got to be inventive to play this kind of opening, because like on paper it's not really 100%. I would say like the Nimzovich defense is not really 100% correct. You got to really be creative, think outside the box, and come up with some unusual solutions, because it's not like a straightforward, ultra correct sort of line. I mean, his bishop's not really hurting me on b5. One maneuver I could think about would be knight d8, knight e6, blockading this powerful pawn on e5. White has this queenside, White has a kingside majority. This structure looks like an open Roi de Pez or something. f4, f5. This pawn has a lust to expand. I mean, that would basically put black away strategically. If white could get in like f4, f5 with this pawn chain, you know, like in the Caro-Kann or something. But we do have some ideas. He's looking like he's trying to set up e6 on me. Goodness. Oh no. It almost works. Maybe it does work. I mean, he can do it. Like e6, bishop takes e6, knight e5. I could sack my queen for 2 pieces and a pawn. But I'm not really feeling like giving material odds right now. Okay, e6, bishop takes e6, knight e5, queen d6. Bishop f4, pawn takes b5. Ouch. There I'm probably okay because of queen d8. Okay. Or am I? No, not necessarily. So e6 may work, Trouts. I think you're burning too much time here. You gotta just go with the instinct. e6, pawn takes e6, knight e5, queen d8, knight takes e6. He's got g4 there too. We need the chicken sound now. We need like sound bites, basically. If I had some sound bites, I'd be playing like the chicken sound. Chicken clucking sound, like e6. I think I'm like in real trouble there after e6. My god. Anyway, we're just lucky to be alive. Now e6 doesn't have nearly the kind of power it had a minute ago. White still has a spatial advantage though, so I shouldn't be laughing. I don't really have any counterplay either. I mean, c5 would be my only real serious counterplay. So I'm just laughing because I'm still alive, and I think I was in trouble after e6. Even then, if you can't at least make it 2,000 chess puzzle ratings puzzles are making me crazy, dude. I'm so sick of the puzzles. I was doing them, but I don't think I can handle it anymore. I'm not really into puzzles, and these aren't even really true puzzles. They're simply positions where you have to guess like the best move according to the engine. You know, I mean, that's not a puzzle. Puzzles are like kind of composed and artistic problems. And many of the Lichess problems, well, the majority of Lichess puzzles, so to quote unquote puzzles, are I better be careful here. The Lichess puzzles, he's gonna take and play like knight g5. This is a good position to be kind of like calm and not panic. h6 weakens my position. f6, e6 doesn't look particularly good either. So anyway, the Lichess puzzles are just positions, not composed, you know, like artistic puzzles. I like the traditional chess problems that are composed and like kind of beautiful. With these positions, you know, it's just a matter of like taking a position and trying to imitate the chess engine. I don't really enjoy it, and I'm actually very bad at it. We're in trouble here. Alright. I'm clearly worse positionally. I'm just suffering. I just weakened my position with this last move. Now, I'm just trying to blockade f5 here, I guess. But he's got e6 at any moment I've got to watch out for. Knight g5 was the big threat. Now he's going knight h4. I've got to get in c5 somehow before it's too late. How to play that, though? Damn. We're in a world of danger here. It is a dangerous world. Queen g4. I feel like, what am I gonna do? Like g5 or something? This doesn't look safe. I'm happy to see that though. I guess. I was a little concerned about g3 when he threatens to keep rolling with like f5. I would have had to play c5. Desperately seeking counterplay. This pawn is hanging. But my queen is almost trapped, but it's not. Alright, I think it's just a blunder. We're fortunate. Let's get out of here. We're very lucky. I was really close to being dead again. Dead again. Was that a movie? Dead again? Wasn't that a Christopher Walken movie? Am I crazy? Was that the name of it? I think I like that movie. I'm so passive now. What am I doing? Being stupid. But I'm panicking for nothing here. I mean, he doesn't really have any concrete. Not the best move probably by me. Doesn't have any concrete what? So hesitant today. Good God. Alright, no more hesitating. He's attacking my f7? Pure tactics. Knight f3. What? I'm just dropping a pawn now. Or am I? This is a stupid move. He's going to total freak out mode. Alright, man. Not a good game by me. And you just freaked out in time pressure. Wow. That's it. Say goodnight, Dolores. How big was your advantage, though? I mean, at its peak, I wonder, like a pawn, 2 pawns. one has to give Trouts credit for basically a good positional game. He had the advantage like almost all the way till he started to just fall apart in time pressure. Move 27. If he played queen takes f7, what was my plan? There were two chances where he could have played queen takes f7. One of them I was taking on h4, and that wasn't a problem. But when my queen was on e6, yeah, all hell was breaking loose. I had to capture like a counter recapture on I don't know, on like d4, attacking his knight on c3. He has a rook on the 7th, and I thought he was better, but I don't know. Here with my queen on g5, it's probably okay. But after knight f3, queen g6, he went back, and then I went here. Yeah, he should take. Is this move 27? No. But this position, I thought he should go for queen takes f7, you know? The engine actually says knight e2 is a better move. What is the material here? We're still, he's a pawn down. That's kind of amazing. He's a pawn down, but his positional pressure is so strong that he, I mean, I thought here, queen takes f7. When I have nothing better than queen takes f7, rook takes f7, c takes d4, then, I don't know, he moves his knight somewhere. But I guess here I have enough counterplay. According to the engine, he has knight e2 instead, which is a good, just kind of like, safe move. But I guess he wasn't winning at any point. That's really, I mean, I'm pretty happy. His biggest advantage was like 0.7 or 0.5. 0.7 after queen e6. So move 27 wasn't dangerous. He's hanging a piece if he takes on f7. You know, it was here that he could have done it. But I'm surprised I wasn't more seriously worse. Want to do on-stream lessons. Are you a woman? A grill. There are grills. Yeah, he's a woman. She's a man. It's the internet. You never know. Alright. Yeah, good game, Trouts. Let's go back in some more interesting openings. This was fun, though. It was fun. Guys, I really want to play against any subscribers. Little Penguin, I don't know if you want to challenge me? You're the only subscriber on the stream now. We had a bunch of subscribers yesterday. Not too many, though. I think I left most of my subscribers in the United States. Teddy Kish, Pac-Man's pal, Chess Armageddon, who's been playing us quite a bit, and Coral. Alright, we'll just take on all the viewers here, but I promise to play openings I don't normally play. Grills. You need to regain my strength after the last match. Forgot about that. You played well. If I recall correctly, you played really well. You had like a very small advantage, probably with white. Okay, c4. What can we do against c4? It's sort of problematic, you know, to play like a gambit against the English opening. I always want to play d5, but that's not really good. I mean, if we play d5, the best we can do is, let's try it. I don't recommend doing this, okay? It's kind of like, kind of incorrect. But incorrect in a controlled experiment is not a problem. I always want to play d5 against c4. It's not really as good as against the e4. I think the Scandinavian is better. But white, you know, has to take care. I mean, like e4 probably gives black pretty good counterplay after c6. You could play something weird, like maybe queen a4 there, with unclear consequences. But white should play knight f3 or d4 in this position, and that way you can force me to play the Marshall defense. This is just a transposition to a normal Grunfeld. Probably I should play like my teammate Martin Prorock and do something weird here. Against Eperyeshi Laszlo, Prorock played g6, and after d4, I think he did something crazy like No, it was a different position. Ebriashi didn't take on d5, was it? He played somehow. He must have taken on d5, but Prorock did something crazy. He like gambited a pawn. I'm just like talking a lot of nonsense. You guys don't understand what I'm talking about, but the move order was different. Anyway, Teddy Kish took on d5. Well, I wouldn't call this an unusual opening necessarily. An unusual opening in terms of knight takes d5 by Teddy Kish, which is not considered to be really a great move. On the other hand, it's not that bad. What can you say? You once played in a tournament and lost all games that were played in the morning. I'm actually playing better in the morning these days. I'm a dinosaur, and it depends on how bad the hangover is, of course. There used to be a time when I had trouble making it to the board at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Some tournaments in the late in the mid to late 90s. I was known to have trouble, making it to the board at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and if I could make it to the board, then I was happy. But these days we're playing a little more conservatively. Well, but the morning is generally a better time. You got to wake up, though. You got to have some coffee or whatever, and give yourself time to wake up. If you're like playing 5 minutes after waking up, I mean, that's not really a good place to be. It takes me half an hour to wake up here on the stream. You don't want to be silent. I wish I was talking like you do. Just talk about what you're thinking. You giving me advice, or are you just thinking out loud? Bishop e3, that's actually, I think, a good move. Pawn takes pawn, bishop takes pawn. I don't want to trade pieces for nothing. He's threatening to take this pawn on c5. When you're playing a lower rated player, I think it's important to not trade too many pieces. Yesterday I had a lesson with one of my students who played like a guy who was 400 points lower rated. And my student is not an endgame expert. He's more of a middle game player. And he like traded 2 pieces right off the bat with black pretty early. I mean, on like move 12, move 10. And I said, dude, like, you gotta keep the pieces on the board against somebody if you want to win a game against someone who's lower rated. Unless you're a specialist in the end game, I think it's a difficult way to win games. When you're allowing exchanges. So d takes c5. Here, my deep idea was that my structure's better. Looks like Teddy Kish is trying to trade, concretely, consciously trying to trade the figures off the board. I'm just wondering, did I misevaluate this? How about rook d8? Fighting for the open file. Does that make any sense? Queen takes, rook takes. Doesn't really help me that much, I guess. Alright. I don't know about this. I mean, my fear was that I'm just trading a lot of stuff. But I guess at the end of the day, this A pawn could be kind of dangerous for me. Black stands a little bit better. Can't play rook d2. I don't know. I have this threat of ramming this pawn down the board, but it's still not passed, so I'm not really sure about this. It's a good thing it's not a rated game. He's 1340. I have no clue how to win. I'd like to just pick up that pawn, but it's pretty difficult to do that by force. Black is not worse, but playing for a win here. We have the other threat of maybe bishop c4 at some point. Not sure it really does anything. My gut instinct is that white is okay here if he defends accurately. You know, hopefully he'll just win the game for me somehow, make a big mistake. So if you're playing a lower rated player, my advice is, you know, don't go out of your way to simplify the game. Yeah, this is a draw. I don't have anything. Yes, 1300, Teddy Kish. Damn, dude, you're not playing like a 1300. That's an extremely strong move. I have no advantage. Opposite colored bishops are about to happen, and it's just a draw, basically. Well, whatever. Maybe when there's no one else, I'd like, okay, I understand you guys are having a conversation. Alright, let's see, rook on f to d8. Now it's opposite color bishops. Now the file is relevant. f6 or something. Should be a draw, but it requires a certain amount of technique. Opposite color bishops and rooks. If it's just opposite color bishops, it's a pretty easy draw. With the rooks on the board, there's always a certain amount of dynamism. Dinosaurism. I wanted to keep his bishop off of e5 so it doesn't harass my rook on b8. That's why I preempted that. Also gives my king a little air. Now I have bishop f5. I feel like we're making some kind of progress. We could walk in. We could walk into the position. I mean, anytime you're playing opposite colored bishops, it's important if there's heavy pieces on the board. Whoops. Teddy KGB. Well, he is from Russia. I thought he was from Russia, but now it doesn't say Russia. Why did I think he was from Russia? Did you un-Russia yourself? Maybe I confused him with one of my other challenges. I thought somebody was from Russia. Maybe my last opponent? I don't know. Weird. Anyway, Teddy Kish. Maybe he's not from Russia. Can you post links in here? You'll need Twitch alerts for the followers. Subs. Yep. We do. We do need the Twitch alerts. The problem here is that he's threatening king f3. It's like slow motion. Bishop e4. It works. We try to bring the king to the center. I don't want to trade rooks. That's kind of like the most important thing going on here. Even if I win a pawn, opposite color bishops are likely to be a draw. I guess I should have considered rook b4. He can just defend with rook a1 there. Whereas, I mean, this plan is more like steady improvement. I don't care if he plays h4, h5. King e6. King d5. If a5, I guess I just let him play a5, a6 or something like that. There's another weak pawn on there, on g3. Oh my god, my time. He's not only strong, he's fast too. 1300 from hell. I should have considered going king f5, king g4. Maybe I should lock it down with h5, actually. He's the 1300 from hell. Well, we got him pushed back now. I could have gone the other way with rook g2, rook takes g3. It might allow some chances to play rook b3, rook b7, and take my pawn there. I think I could have won a piece with e5. Would probably be significantly stronger than winning a pawn. I'm sure that somebody is pointing that out at the moment. I agree. Pieces are generally better to win than pawns. But Teddy Kish with an amazing game for his rating. I mean, he basically got to draw an ending where he just has to be like a little bit... He has to be a little bit accurate. The computer actually thinks white's better here. Wow. It's pretty insane. He has rook b1 in that position. So he really was better. No, good game, man. It should be a draw. Pac-Man's Pal, Chess Armageddon, and Chess Buzz. I need to get the Twitch alerts. Is it still called Twitch alerts? I signed up for Twitch alerts, but I have been putting it off constantly. Alright. The day that I signed up for Twitch alerts, my bank account, just out of complete coincidence, my bank account got like, I got defrauded by someone for like $1,000 last year. And I don't know, ever since I was like, oh my god, maybe it was the Twitch alerts that did it, but it's nothing to do with that. Twitch alerts, it just happens that something traumatic happened to me the day that I signed up for Twitch alerts. So someone tried to steal my credit card. Someone stole my credit card information, skimming my credit card, probably from like a gas station or something like that. I think that somehow subconsciously, the fact that that happened on the day that I signed up for Twitch alerts, I somehow subconsciously associate that with Twitch alerts, and I've been biased against Twitch alerts because of what happened that day. So I'm playing the Queen's Gambit accepted. Queen's Gambit accepted with colors reversed. Knight c6 is a really ambitious move. Maybe we were in this position once before. It might be asking too much of black to play like Knight c6 in this position, like playing like you were white, playing an ultra aggressive system when you were white. I think it's asking a little bit too much. Just gave me money. Did you give me money? Oh, Mikey Slice just subscribed. Sorry, man. I didn't see it. Well, don't think of it as giving me money. You know, think of it as think of it as supporting supporting a stream and getting value for your money. But I appreciate it, man. Thank you for subscribing. If I could have one subscriber every day, we would be golden. 94. Basically a Geller Gambit-esque type of position with colors reversed. Streamlabs. Well, Streamlabs is the same as Twitch alerts, right? I get confused because like Twitch alerts was this independent thing, and then I guess it got taken over or somehow changed. But thank you for subscribing. Mikey says, I thought you'd been on the stream before. I wasn't sure though. Have you been here before today? I had the feeling I had seen you before. Pac-Man's Pal playing really aggressively, like he was white, you know, on the proper side of the Queen's Gambit. Let's talk like a Britisher. A5, the proper side. Now I have B5, losing my pawn back. B5 overextends my pawns. Knight B6. C3, kind of a grotesque move, which I don't like. Now bishop B2, then we take, and we play a Geller Gambit type of structure. The Geller Gambit. Mikey Slice is a chess streamer too. Alright. No, but I thought I've seen you on the stream before. Aldisto subbed earlier. He doesn't really talk in the stream, so... Aldisto's not one for conversation. He did sub earlier. That's great, guys. Aldisto is our tournament champion from last night, and I gotta get the Twitch alerts. Alright. I'm trying to play unusual openings. It requires all my focus here. Pawn sacrifices with e3, probably a little bit over the top. Sometimes you'll see that in these structures. I mean, like, we can even answer with f3. This is a highly unusual move, knight on g to e7 from Pac-Man's pal. Generally speaking, I've played a lot of this type of gambit stuff with colors reversed, and I don't think I've ever played knight on g to e2 in my life, which is a good sign, I guess. When you play a reverse opening, actually he's threatening knight takes, I mean he's threatening pawn takes pawn here now because of this move. That's really weird. How do I protect b4? I guess I can play b5, which gets really odd. Knight e7, that is so strange. To recapture here with a knight, renewing the threat against b4. Never in a Slav or Geller Gambit have I ever seen anyone play knight on ge2 in such a sort of structure. Kind of makes some sense. I mean, it has some interesting squares it can go to on the king's side. e3 just drops the pawn back. I mean, I can give a pawn back, but I mean, I want to get something good for it, basically. There's knight b5. Doesn't really look correct. I don't know. Queen d2 is interesting. I really don't know what to do. b5, knight takes, bishop takes, knight f5. Interesting line for black. Queen d2. I mean, you will see the queen go to d7 in Geller Gambit type of positions. I'm just reinforcing b4 without playing the ugly move c3. I'm trying to avoid doing that. But I mean, it may be a problem. I mean, now my knight loses its best square on d7. It's going to have to go through c3, which is kind of awkward. Queen d7 is a move, though, that is sometimes played in this sort of structure. So I decided to go with that. It could be tactics black has on b6, like trying to get in pressure and this pin on my queen and king, but not so easy for him. I mean, knight takes d4, bishop takes d4, knight c6, something like that. I'll just ignore it and play like e3. Knight takes d4, queen takes d4. Be willing to give up my dark squared bishop, maybe? It's kind of a concession, though. If I have to give up my dark squared bishop, I'm not sure I'm really happy about that. Now, that's why I think this was a cool move. And I spent a lot of time on this position. I mean, that's a really original idea. It looks like... Wow, b6. I guess I take now. The calculations change. I can take and play b5. It's not so good for me, is it? Alright, we took... I'm gonna lose a pawn back. That's life. g7 is hanging. Knight a7 only move. In that position, I thought. Though I've been known to be wrong. Pac-Man's pal, if you play knight a7, I mean, you're going to get a pawn back. So that seems superior to This more speculative consideration. Consideration? What? Captain Obvious. Captain Obvious. Is that a reference to a player, or oh, he's just A4, artificially isolating my pawn on B5. He missed knight A7. Now I think that was a defining moment here. You know, now my position could be really good. In fact, got knight C3. Also knight. Yeah, this knight has to get out. I mean, no, this is the only way. My knight has to get out through E2 and back to D4. We're lucky we have time for this sort of luxurious development here. But Pac-Man's Pal, sadly, with a really inventive plan with 97 going down in flames, he was very close to just a good position, and still he's all right. Truth be told, and still it's probably lost, but it's not like a walk in the park for me to win this position. I have a protected pass pawn on C6, which is usually, it's usually, like, generally speaking, I'm saying that too much, money in the bank, in the proverbial bank. F5, good plan. Maybe I should go for it here. He has 95 now, which is pretty irritating. We managed to win on time, but position a little tricky. I mean, 95 probably his best chance. Again, I'm not really a semi-Slav player, so it's not the most natural position for me. I think this is a little bit too aggressive. White's score is quite good against knight c6. A3. Yeah, white has 7-0 in this position in master play. That's pretty insane. E4 is possible too. That's 3 wins and a draw. Black not scoring good in this line. Again, I think knight c6 is a little too aggressive to play with colors reversed. But I'm curious about the position we got to. Engine doesn't like my move bishop b2. It says I should play e3. How does that work? E3? Yeah, but now it's changing its mind. And bishop b2 is suddenly... Could take and play bishop b2. Maybe that's the better move order. Look at this move, knight e7. That's... I like that. But the engine says it's just bad because of knight b5. I don't know, man. Let's give the engine some time here. I'm not so convinced. Oh, no. So there's just no way to defend e6, and if knight f5 I have queen takes pawn? That is relatively important concept here. A relatively important concept. Kind of loosening his control of the e4 pawn, undermining his pawn chain with queen takes d5. I did not see that, of course. Yeah, so maybe 97. No, it's a cool idea. It's too slow. E3 is interesting. Provocative pawn sacrifice. Okay, guys, let's move on. We've got another hour to stream here. Mikey Slice wants me to take a look at a game. Since you subscribed, I'll make an exception. I'm usually playing Blitz here. Mikey Slice, if you can send me the game, I'll make you a deal. If you can send me the game on Lichess, I'll take a look at it. But you need to give me a link. Give me a link on Lichess. Send it to me in a notification on Lichess, because it's just too much work for me to transfer it from the Twitch stream. We'll play another Blitz game in the meantime. I'm not opposed to analyzing a game or two if you guys want to do it. I'm mostly playing Blitz. Tomorrow night I do game analysis on my subscriber stream, so I really suggest you come and hang out with us, Mikey Slice. If you have time tomorrow night, 7 p.m. is my subscriber stream, and I do like to do game analysis during that stream. But if you guys want me to analyze a game, send it to me in a notification on Chess. It's much easier for me to bring it up. Alright, Chess Armageddon. I'm going to start this game at 5-6. But I don't mind taking a look at a game. Just send it to me over there on Chess, please. Alright. It's easier if you send me the notification on Chess, because I've got two machines, and I can't click on the link from my other machine. If it's that big of a problem, if you can't send it to me in a notification on Chess, I can email it to myself. It's kind of a pain. Let's see. Alright. I forgot to play something unusual. Anyway, I like this line, the floor mucinous variation. 0.9 repeated. You versus Daniel Wrench. I once lost to Daniel Wrench. I was like psychotically like overpressing, trying to beat the guy when he was pretty young. He was much lower rated than me. I looked at the game later and I was like, damn, I just went completely berserk trying to beat him in total insanity. I should have just been a little bit more careful. Anyway, d5, e5. This was like a long time ago, probably back around maybe 2001 or 1999. It had to be earlier, like 1999, 2000. Why did you play c4? You make it nearly impossible to play unusual openings. Sorry, Chess Armageddon. I understand. I got distracted. Like how to add you as a friend on there. You just click on somebody's name on Chess, and one of the tabs that's popping up there would be like follow or unfollow. Sorry, Chess Armageddon, you're right. It's almost impossible to play something unusual against the English opening. I just played like... I was playing a 5-0 game in the 5-0 yesterday. I wanted to play e4. You wanted me to play e4 and play the Pierce. Well, Pierce isn't unusual either. But we have a fun position here, at least. Black needs to play for a c5 in this kind of line. Yeah, I just search for Sparkle Horse. But you don't have to add me as a friend to send me a message, do you? You just search for my account, Sparkle Horse on Chess, in the community, and you don't even have to befriend me. I mean, just you can send a message to anyone. You're doing something unusual. Well, Chess Armageddon, what you're doing is slightly unusual. The main line is you know, 94. So as far as I know, this variation is playable for black, though. I've never actually been in this position, though. The meh. How do I keep my pieces, like, coming out fluidly? You guys ever look at your old games and say, like, what the was I thinking? That was how I felt about my game with Danny Wrench. I just wouldn't accept that, you know, he was... Well, it was a very complicated, like, classical dragon, and I was white, and I really wanted to win really bad, so I went totally insanely berserko. Sacked a piece or something, and ended up with unclear chances, but I lost. I was pretty bummed out. The guy was like, I don't think he was more than like 2200 at the time. C5 here. I was thinking D5. Knight takes pawn. Bishop B5 check. Does that make sense? D5, pawn takes pawn, bishop B5 check, and then take on E6, winning my pawn back. It makes sense, right? Yeah, this has got to be playable. It looks like an Alekhine's defense. He could play Queen H4 here. Okay, Queen H4. I have lots of moves there. I don't think Queen H4 is right. I could play maybe Queen E2, for example. Knight takes E5, bishop B5 check, followed by takes on E6. Fun position though. It wasn't an unusual opening per se, but it's become a kind of unusual position. Can you forget tactics? I would say so. But I guess you don't really forget tactical themes. You just don't keep them in the forefront of your mind, and then when they crop up, you don't see them. I've never, been this Larry Christensen style player who's just constantly, flash tactics just pop out of my head. I mean, there are certain players who play like that, but I think that I need to stay like fresh. But I like problems, like real composed, like beautiful combination problems. Not really like this find the best move according to Stockfish problems. I'm not that into doing problems, although I admit it's very good for your game. Now this position, I'm not sure. Not sure what's really going on here. I guess I have Queen E2, which I didn't really consider that going into this position as a main line. But I guess it's better to play this. My original intention. At least I don't lose material. Waiting for death. Everybody's doing that indirectly. If you want unusual, too bad. I don't know any tactic. It's all improvisation. There's a good positive way and a negative way to look at everything. We're all still alive. We're all slowly dying, so we can all look at it through different perspectives. D takes E6. Positive and the negative aspect. Positive aspect of my position is that I'm not losing a pawn, and I have a better pawn structure. I would suppose. Did I say I'm not losing a pawn? No, I am losing a pawn, but now we have some real developmental compensation. Queen H5 check a la Nakamura. Yeah, I mean, we've got a lot of development here. I said I'm not losing a pawn. I lied. But it's okay. We have some really good pressure. Bishop D3 is tempting, keeping the pieces on the board. This costs a little bit of time, but it's okay, we can afford it. We've got a better structure to compensate for our pawn deficit. We've got a Hikaru queen on H5. Rarely do I develop the queen to H5. But I would say white has full compensation for sacrificed pawn in this position. That's my cop-out evaluation of this spot. The queen f6 is probably a reasonable move. However, I do have knight e4 now. So maybe it's not so great for black. Knight e4, queen e5 is an irritating possibility. But again, I just keep outstripping him in development there. Knight e4, queen e5. Knight e4, queen e5. Knight f3 drops a queen. Knight e4, queen e5, bishop g5 would be the key continuation. Then I'm dropping my pawn on b2. That's the problem. And my text move gives him a little bit of time to get himself organized. Knight f3, unfortunately, though it's a good move, it gives him just enough time to sort of consolidate to some degree his tardy development. Tomorrow night, guys, is my subscriber stream, so we will do game analysis and Blitz. I normally just play Blitz on Mondays, Tuesdays, Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays. Normally just playing Blitz in the morning because I can't talk or function. I want to thank you guys for subscribing. Aldisto, who's been a regular, and Mikey Slice. Well, Macros 4200 just subscribed. We set an all-time European record for subscriptions today. Okay, now Chess Armageddon, I was actually most concerned about bishop c6, I guess. But knight c6 is more of a natural kind of move. The thing is, I have knight e4 now. Still, there's no forced win for white. Or is there? Maybe there is. Knight g5, knight takes h7. He doesn't have queen e5 or anything. This is a highly suspicious situation for black now. Pieces are all just like breaking through. I don't know if he can defend this. Good try. Another game that feels like the Geller Gambit. Oh. Crunch. I don't think there's any way to defend this now. I mean, this has to be lost. King there. Multiple refutations. Or are there? I better not get too overconfident here. My knight is... Bishop takes is better, I guess. I feel like it's hard to get myself out of this pin, though. Now he could have played a different move there, obviously. I'm sure that I absolutely missed better moves. Probably a mate in one somewhere. Alright, we're just up a piece now. Off with the queens, and that's it. It's important to note, when it's an endgame, it's time to centralize the king. A really monster square for the knight on e4. I have no interest in material. I'm just consolidating my booty, pirate booty. We can take the bishop when we want to take it, I guess. Not a rush here. I hate to give up my knight on e4. We're basically just to clear a piece up. Shouldn't be any way black can survive this. That's it. Alright, analysis board. Let's check this opening. Anyway, guys, Macros, thanks for the subscription. We've set an all-time European record. I was just getting kind of bummed because we didn't have many subscriptions. E5, knight f d7, and now apparently c takes d5 is the main line here. I never honestly knew that it was better or worse than but I'm nervous about pawn takes, knight takes pawn. Like, I wasn't sure about that. It looks like theoretically more players play c takes d5, but d4 has a better score. If you look at the difference between those two moves, it's not a big sample size, but I mean, with c takes d5, black wins 30%, and with d4, black wins almost like 10. So d4 has a better score. This is apparently the main line. Takes, bishop takes, c5, and now I played what? d5, which is only played in 2 games. So we're kind of in the minority here. Gogunov versus Sodal. This is 2015. Gogunov, like myself, speculating. Right? Got the same game. The actual game Gogunov played against Patrick Sodal. Exactly the same. But Sodal here played knight f7. I guess that's just much better than knight g6. So this is the key moment where Chess Armageddon went wrong. It's like the Staunton Gambit in the Dutch. Sometimes knight f7. Interesting game though, and Gogunov went on to win. I have seen this guy's name, Gogunov. 2597, relatively young player. I think that white has compensation for the sacrificed pawn. It's an interesting game. Black's extra pawn is a bad structure. I mean, isolated. He's behind in development. A dynamic position where I think that white has the initiative there. Let's take a look at Mikey Slice's game. He imported this. From Chess.com. And wow, so you're 956 and you took out a 2400. Yeah, a very rare move, bishop d3. You know, not a move that I would play as a very strong player against another very strong player, but if you don't fear simplification, I think that bishop d3 is okay. Oh, you didn't win. Okay, I thought you won. Black is victorious. Okay. Oh man, I'm disappointed. Usually people are... I don't know why. I thought you said you won before. This is going to transpose to a French... this is going to transpose to a French... what's it called? Bern variation. Or Rubinstein. Unfortunately, you have to trade. You know, one of the drawbacks here... Well, okay, bishop h4 is apparently playable, but the majority of players would play bishop takes f6 here, knight takes f6 here. I mean, I would assume bishop takes f6 is theory. Like bishop takes f6, knight takes f6, knight f3. And white has some kind of tiny advantage. I mean, it's usually like after another 15 moves, the top 2600 grandmasters would shake hands and agree to a draw. I mean, generally this type of variation is played as a very solid George Meyer, Bareev. I mean, look at the guys who are playing this with black. Really rock style players. My friend Kosic Dragon from Serbia plays this type of French. But objectively, you know, it looks like you're supposed to play knight f3 here, or queen e2, or knight takes f6 check. Bishop g5 is kind of rare. He played h6, bishop h4, c5, knight f3. Playable. This bishop is a bit strange on h4 here. What about the c pawn? Can he win this pawn and get some kind of play on the dark squares with your bishop? Your bishop is out there on h4. It's unable to kind of defend the dark squares. But apparently there's nothing that that he can do. Kind of hesitant play by Wrench, honestly. But solid. This move makes sense to me. That's a kind of weird recapture. I don't know, instinctively, it's more natural to recapture with the knight on f6. It seems strange to recapture with the bishop, you know? But according to the engine, it's playable. I don't know. You could even take back with the g-pawn. The main thing, if you take back with a g-pawn, you have to be careful with black not to allow some kind of d5 type of thing. I mean, even this is not that bad for black. Rubinstein himself would occasionally play this sort of structure. We're transposing to a game. I know these players. Lengyel Bela just died a few months ago. Actually, yeah, it was in the spring. He was actually a neighbor of mine. He lived about 1,500 meters from where I live. Across the park. Across the street, basically. I'm champion of my street, but Lengyel Bela was like champion of the next street. Or the street after that. 3 streets down. Rest in peace, Bela Bachi. D takes C. Yeah, this is getting kind of weird. I don't like dropping this pawn on B2. Kind of breaks up your structure, but you probably have compensation. I don't know. I don't like the fact that your pawn structure's gotten messed up. Balish Sebastian played C3. I mean, this is much safer for white. You know, not surprisingly, the game ended in a draw. It might even be like pre-arranged draw this game. I don't think that Lengyel Bela really played the French very often. So it feels like it was probably a pre-arranged draw. Not an uncommon happening. They played hand and brain. I usually only show 1 games because I have a hard time analyzing them. When I do analyze them, I feel like, yeah, my opponent didn't see he had a great opportunity here. Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's relevant to analyze all your games, win, lose, or draw. I mean, there's something to be taken away from all the games. I realize the engine says this is okay for white, but I think that I don't like, you know, the fact that white's pawn structure gets messed up. This check is actually a very big temptation, but it leaves you in a situation where the black king is actually not bad. Karpov would have played king e7 instead of Wrench's king f8. But king f8 is okay. It's just that it boxes in the rook. Now you've got knight d2, which maybe he wasn't bargaining for, thinking that he was going to prevent you from castling. So you don't have to lose a piece. Well calculated. Yeah, but I mean, rook b5 here, winning the piece back immediately, is better. I mean, your knight is actually pretty strong on d6. I wouldn't be in a hurry to trade for the bad bishop on c8. You know, you could create some threats against f7 with the knight on d6, so I don't really like that you traded it off. And now you just dropped a piece. I don't know if you saw, I mean, I thought this was your plan, basically, to win this bishop back here. At the end of the day, you would have had a worse position because he's got a really strong knight on c5 and a very, very solid structure with the pawn up. So, you know, I think there's some questions about this move in particular, knight takes c8. You could just play rook b5 first. You know, let's say he plays solidly here, and now you take back, and he takes, and queen b4, queen f4, queen b4, something like that. Maybe this isn't so bad. I mean, this kind of ending. Notice how he's still stuck with his bishop on c8. You know, it's an undeveloped piece, and I think that was your biggest mistake, really, like taking the bishop on c8, which only helps him. All right. Anyway, this was a game that Mikey Slice played against Danny Wrench. Chess Buzz 17 PM Potato Master. an evening, and Pac-Man's Pal challenged me again, but I think we're only playing one game per customer today. Yeah, just be aware, you know. Like, bishops are generally stronger than knights, but your knight is in danger of getting undermined. But you can pretty much take that bishop at any moment, so I think that was a mistake, you know. And obviously you lost a piece and didn't get it back because you miscalculated. But just, I mean, thinking about the position in general. Alright, anyway, today we're supposed to play unusual openings. I forgot when I was white against Chess Armageddon, and I played c4. Oh. This is like punishment, you know, karma punishing me for not playing, for playing c4 against Chess Armageddon. You literally can't play anything unusual against against bishop f4. Alright, what can you do? I have a weird move that I do occasionally play here, knight c6. So in the interest of being faithful to our theme for the day, which is unusual openings, Pac-Man's Pal subscribed. What? Pac-Man's Pal is Pac-Man's Pal, you subscribed? Are you macros? Wait, when did Pac-Man's Pal subscribe? Oh my god. He subscribed just before macros? So we have 3 or 4 subscriptions today. Pac-Man's Pal. How many subscriptions do we have today? 3 or 4. Just before macros. Aldisto, Pac-Man's Pal, Macros, and Mikey Slice. 4 subscriptions. I gotta play him now. I'm forced to play a rematch against Pac-Man's Pal. But just generally, so you guys know, I usually don't play, you know, 2 games with the same player. Because we are playing, like, fairly long games. In many cases with, like, 8+3 or 7+2. Other than that, you know, if I was playing, like, 3-0 games, I wouldn't, you know, mind playing more than 1 game. But we'll reward Pac-Man's Pal with the free game. Alright, I don't know. You know, this is not theory. This is just made up stuff. Knight c6, basically. It's not a real variation. You'll probably find a few obscure games. But it makes sense to me. I mean, I feel like thematically, the idea of trying to control e5 is the right way to play against someone who's fighting for e5. We're basically fighting back, you know, for e5, but he's stopping me. Chess Buzz is 22/5, I just realized. This is not a weak player. I wasn't really looking at his ratings, but you know, so it makes sense. Now I could play knight d7, which is really extreme. Really extreme concept of playing knight d7. He's stopping bishop g4, which is thematic. He's a London system expert. I hate the London system. I've got like 2 or 3 different ways to play against it, but I'm not going to go with those since we're trying to play unusual stuff today. Now I'm reverting back to a King's Indian type of setup for lack of other things. I mean, the only other thing I can do here is unless you want to get really weird with like e6, queen e7, not outside the realm of possibility. Actually, I kind of like that plan. Once I had a game against a friend of mine that went like d4, e6, bishop f4, d6. And I won. He was very impressed by that. Thinking outside the box. But now Chess Buzz playing e4. I feel like that's, well, not bad. It's not really truly in the spirit of the London system. It's more like a classical Peertz now. Some sort of weird classical Peertz with a bishop on f4. No doubt perfectly okay for white, but I like it when it gets more dynamic, you know. I don't like the London system where they're going like e3. You know, it's very frustrating to play against that, so I'm actually happy to see white doing something more sharp. It makes the game more fun and more interesting. But anyway, I'm trying to calculate tactics based on e5 here. I do have knight takes d4, but it probably loses a pawn. Knight takes d4, knight takes d4, e5, or knight takes d4, queen takes d4, e5. Unfortunately, I'm afraid I lose a pawn there. Knight takes d4, queen takes d4, e5. Knight takes e5, pawn takes e5. Bishop takes e5. And then queen takes d4, bishop takes d4, rook e8. f3. You know, this stuff actually works. I think this actually works. I may have miscalculated something, but anyway, we're going to have some fun. So I hope I don't lose a pawn. I mean, I really thought this actually works. If we can destroy his center and equalize, I would be satisfied here. Just on principle. I mean, queen takes d4, e5, knight takes e5, d takes e5, bishop takes e5, queen takes d4, bishop takes e4, rook e8, with the idea of f3, knight takes e4, bishop takes g7, and I win my piece back, or actually, I get interest. Now, there are other ways I could play this and probably deaden the game a little bit. He can obviously play knight takes e5, pawn takes e5, queen takes queen, rook takes queen, and just move his bishop or something with equality. I mean, I can't get an advantage by force. Szép na napot kívánok. Yes, we speak Hungarian. Remedy HS. He said, beautiful, good day. Beautiful, good day. That's my rough translation of Remedy's Hungarian. Maybe I miscalculated something here. Well, he could also try to take my pawn on c7. I didn't really count on queen takes queen, rook takes, bishop takes. I have another interesting line. Queen takes queen, rook takes, bishop takes e5, knight takes e4. Bishop takes g7, king takes g7, knight takes e4, rook e8, winning my pawn back, winning my piece back. We didn't even talk about queen takes e5, but I mean, I think it goes without saying that that's dangerous for white. I have knight takes e4. Chess buzz. Pausing for thought here. So we have 4 subscribers today. Awesome, guys. I was getting worried because since I came back, I was in July and August in the United States. We had a number of subscribers there, but since I came back, I think it's harder for those American players to watch the stream. I am streaming in the morning here, European time, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And for the American players, I mean, it's too late for most of them to watch. But on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I have an evening stream, 7 p.m. now. So for American and North and South American players who are interested in watching, it's like, you know, 1 in the afternoon or maybe 10 a.m. on the West Coast. So it's not so bad. And then Sundays I do a simul at 6:30 p.m. European time. So a little bit of everything. Guys, please feel free to submit any suggestions for the stream. Earlier, Mikey Slice was talking about getting, me getting Twitch alerts, which I should already have, obviously. So I would know you guys subscribed in advance. D takes e5. He's analyzing stuff here, but it looks like in all lines we can exploit him tactically on the e-file and at least get our pawn back. So probably clarify the position with equality. I don't know. My what do I want to say? My superficial analysis of the position was basically that black should equalize with the bishop on f4. There's always these tactical possibilities, but again, I mean, I just think that e4 isn't really London system spirit. I mean, normally I'm not gonna see white playing knight c3 here. Okay, If he wants to play knight c3, that's fine too. He can play like knight c3, queen d2, like Ayesta. One of our regular viewers plays those sort of setups against me. But ChessBuzz is kind of mixing together a whole bunch of different things, basically. Yeah, so now, I mean, rook e8. This is an interesting decision for me. Is it more accurate to play knight takes e4 immediately, or play rook e8? I guess in either case, you know, he could take on c7, but I'm going to have counterplay. Knight takes e4. Knight takes e4, bishop takes e5 is good for me. Knight takes e4, bishop takes c7. Well, we have a lot of possibilities there. That looks kind of dangerous for him. Alright. So we'll play the immediate knight takes e4. You know, and black should be fine, basically. It's probably a draw. Probably some kind of forced draw. Maybe I'm being too optimistic, actually. I don't know. I'm being a little bit optimistic. I mean, I do potentially lose a pawn in some lines here. So f3 or bishop d3, f5, f3. Yeah, I think I was a little optimistic. All right. Maybe we made a little bit of a too optimistic move there with knight takes e4. I mean, I could have played rook e8, you know, which was safer. So yeah, probably I went a little too far, a little too fancy here with knight takes e4. I should have played rook e8, and if he takes on f6, I'm going to have really good dark squared bishop compensation. I think I was asking a little bit too much. Asking a bit too much of the position. I'm not sure what's going on now. It feels like I may have overreached. I could have the worst of this, the worst side of this close ending. Not necessary to play knight takes e4. We got a little bit too fancy. Although no, you know what? All right, I'm overlooking an important line. Rook e8, f4, white has here. Yeah, and I don't know if we can be like go totally insane with Morozevich, like rook takes e5 and an ending. That's kind of pushing the envelope a little bit. Asking a little too much of the position, I think, to sack the exchange in an ending. I'd be groveling for a draw. Although it's funny, it would be funny in like a Blitz or a rapid game. I wouldn't trust it in a tournament game. Maybe I really have to play like knight takes e4, knight takes e4. No, that's actually okay for me. I have bishop takes e5, takes, and rook takes, winning the piece back. So f4 doesn't work. Interesting. Yeah, I definitely made a mistake in that position. And now, fortunately, ChessBuzz, what happened? He played f3. Yeah, he should probably castle and play like pawn takes pawn, rook e1. Castles, pawn takes pawn, rook e1, bishop f5, g4, pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn. Maybe he didn't have anything. I don't know. This is actually good though. Okay, whoops. Now he gets a rook on the 7th. We've got a problem here, Houston. I missed this. This is correct by ChessBuzz. Okay, he wins a pawn. Ugh. I really have to seriously consider not taking the pawn now. I have to consider not taking the pawn. I mean, it's just bad rook ending with rook on the 7th. I'm going to go down a pawn here and try to survive this, based on the fact that he has a bad isolated pawn. So we made a very bad mistake by not playing rook e8 instead of knight takes e4. If I take that, that rook ending is probably winning for white. I mean, even if I get a rook on the 7th myself, everything's falling apart. I doubt I could draw that. This was incorrect. Yeah, this is an important move. I mean, otherwise my king comes out to the center where it's really strong. So anyway, we have drawing chances here. I can't take the pawn on a2. He's got a lot of pawns on the wrong color, but it's a really long endgame in the offing here. I don't really have a lot of counterplay. He's got all of his pawns on the wrong color. That should help me. Every single pawn. Yeah, this stream is very late. You know, the people that occasionally will drop by here on my morning streams are like up at 3 or 4 in the morning in the US. Spinal Tap Chess, who's an IM, he'll occasionally come by. Now it looks like White's trying to do some damage on my 7th rank. What's the double? G4. G4 is an interesting move. Now hopefully I can snipe this pawn and hold a draw. I mean, I'm just going to offer a draw here. I think I might be... it's really objectively drawn now. He's putting his pawns on the wrong color. I don't think I actually offered a draw. I have to click it twice. Okay. We had this issue once before. I'm not sure when that was really enacted, this double clicking being necessary to offer a draw. Let's see, g5, g6, h6 check, king takes. He's not really threatening anything per se right away, but the threat of h6 is pretty irritating. Not the end of the world, but declines draw. All right. We should be able to hold at least. Oh. Nothing really to say about this position. But I don't really like to offer more than one draw. You know, I think that it's bad etiquette. So I don't do that unless it's just like ridiculous. But it's kind of waste of time, this position, objectively. So if you find yourself in this sort of situation, it's basically rude to offer a draw like more than once. And I hope that my opponents don't do that. I don't really understand what white is trying to prove here, or what the point of this is. I just want to like go on to the next game, basically, so someone else can play. Is he like a bullet player or something? It seems like silly to play 30 moves in a rook and pawn versus rook and pawn. It's like my favorite player from the Internet Chess Club. This guy used to play rook against rook for fun. All right. Again, sorry about that. Kind of a little bit unnecessary, the last 20 moves there. Pac-Man's Pal, thanks for subscribing. We got 4 subscriptions today. Tomorrow is a subscriber stream in the evening, basically 7 p.m. You can analyze games, play Blitz, classical chess. The last game, unfortunately, I just played. I really felt kind of angry with myself for playing knight takes e4 instead of rook e8. I mean, it really gave him a virtually winning position in a harmless looking situation where I could have been completely okay. I'd like to take a look at that actually after the game. Just to make sure I was right, you know. So if I ever have that situation come up again, I'm playing unusual openings. I'm trying to play unusual openings today. I played knight f6 now. It's kind of hard to do that against knight f3. He rules out all. I like to play the Budapest gambit. We can't do that. Maybe I could have played the Dutch or something, really. Let's play a6. I mean, you can't, you know, if you can't find another idea, you can always play a6 and b5. He plays the Lenin system, plays on in dead drawn position. Well, yeah, there's a lot of people like that. I mean, it's a practical approach. I thought like white was, if anything, tiny bit worse at the end there. I mean, I would be thrilled with a draw with white, you know, when I had the worst structure. But some people just, you know, enjoy torturing the other, even if they're slightly worse. But anyway, I was happy to draw a pawn down. He posed some practical problems for me. You know, he was actually down a pawn for a moment, but I couldn't hold my pawns on the 7th rank. I guess I could have taken with a rook on h5. I could have taken with a rook on h5 instead of with my king, and then on rook d7 I have rook back to c5. So I could have tortured him with like an extra rook pawn. Although that's a theoretical draw, most likely as well. Pac-Man's Pal played bishop g5, and then this is actually, you know, very likely a position that's been played before. I guess I take here, and it's really weird. It's like the thing is, if he plays e3 or something like that, you know, do I do d5 to protect my pawn on c4? I would assume so. Maybe a playable gambit, or pawn sacrifice by white here. Black's development is basically non-existent, so I have seen some strange games where white like temporarily sacrificed this pawn on c4. You love the Budapest too. You speak Hungarian and love the Budapest. Knight c3 gambit style. Okay. You know, so if I play d5, white might have e4 type of dynamic ideas. I'm not committed to trying to hang on to that pawn on c4 though. I mean, it might not be really the safest way for black to play this position. So I'm not a greedy guy. I mean, I just want to get my pieces out and get a reasonable game. It is possible to do this. But I don't really like playing a style where I take material and hang on to it to the point where it makes me you know, have to play kind of passively. Queen a4. One way to get your pawn back. There's no way to protect the pawn here. But as I said, I wasn't really, you know, if I had been intended on like winning the pawn back or keeping the pawn, I would have played d5. So I'm not really focusing on that aspect of the position so much. Just want to get a playable game. c5 is a move I'd like to get in, but I may not have time here for that. So I like white's game. Seems like his development advantage is relevant here. But I can just play bishop e7 and castle. This is by far the safest. Getting my king to safety. Dealing with the center later. I still have a lot of pawns in the center. I have 4 pawns in the center, and white has only 3. You know, if you think about it, theoretically I have a central majority, so I'm always kind of fundamentally okay. And if e5, I didn't really make up my mind on knight e5 or knight e8 in this position, but e5 looks like it kind of overextends for white a little bit. But I think it's playable. The most aggressive move here. He has to actually watch out for knight takes e4. Bishop takes e7, knight takes c3. This might be a good move. We have to calculate. Oh no, it doesn't work. Okay, he has got knight takes e4. Well, it does work. I can play knight takes e4, knight takes e4, d5. Here we go again. Nefedov, you're up next. Nefedov, I thought, challenged me prior, you know, and lost his challenge. He is a subscriber, so he's got first dibs. Now this does simplify. Winning my piece back. Here we go again. It's like the second game where I have some fancy tactic against knight takes e4. Last time it actually led me to having a basically lost position. Let's hope it works in this case. Kopini, welcome. I don't know if I'm going to have time for both these challenges. Nefedov lost his challenge, so he should be next. Guys, I'll be back tomorrow night with my subscriber stream. We've got 4 new subscribers today. I'd like to thank you all. You guys are awesome. Keep the stream going. I'm not going to get rich, but we appreciate it. I don't want to take on g5. I'm just happy to basically, you know, win a pawn, and now I have 7 against 6. This is fine by me. He does have a pretty strong center, but his king is stuck on e1. I mean, he's going to redeploy back with his pieces and try to pressure h7 or something. It's not really a problem. I mean, I think that my position is pretty secure. Bishop b7. He's got knight e5, but I have d6 there. So maybe this move, just very compact, threatening to like decimate his pawn structure, trade pieces. Difficult to see what white can really do, you know. Seems like his king is in the middle of the board. He doesn't have a coordinated attack on the king side. I'm threatening to simplify further. It just looks like white is kind of tossed his pieces out there, but doesn't have much coordination. And black is just a clear pawn up now. So it's not enough to just play aggressive moves, and you really have to have a very concrete, coordinated plan in such a position. Yeah, but anyway, like in retrospect, I played knight takes e4, bishop takes e4, knight takes e4. But if he had played e5 here, you know, maybe he was concerned about knight d5. Bishop takes e7, queen takes e7, bishop takes e4, knight b6. He could always take with the queen, you know. So e5 would have been a lot simpler of an approach. This is a good move, queen d1, bringing his queen back into the game. I got to admit that's probably best for white. And now, for my next trick, if my bishop gets attacked, it will go to c6, and we're going to bring the knight through d7 and try to get the rest of our pieces developed. He does have d5 now. Kind of a weird idea, though. I mean, it shouldn't really be a big deal. It'll just trade, you know, into a position where I'm a pawn up. a4. a4, an interesting move. Probably I should play a5 myself, not to let that pawn get fixed on a6. And bring my knight out now. Pac-Man's pal has some compensation, I guess, but objectively it shouldn't be enough. I mean, I like his decision to not trade pieces. Now he's threatening queen d3. I mean, I can even play f5 if I have to. Not my first choice, really. Rook e8, maybe. Play knight f8. It's a little passive. I mean, but whatever. Now I prefer that. I probably prefer that to wow. I mean, it seems like e5 is on the horizon. We're going to try to break out down the center. So e5, d5. He can shut it down. But that's okay. We're so solid here. White is lost. He's got a little bit of counterplay. I have to be careful. Not thrilled with the way I played this. Definitely not thrilled with the way I played this. He's pretty fast, Pac-Man's pal. Whoa. Where is all this play coming from? I had knight f4 there. That was a major. No, yes, queen h7 check. My technique was horrible. I gave him all sorts of like threats and stuff. His knight f6 check in this position. Probably winning. He like actually set it up. It doesn't work. Knight f6 check, king f8, queen h7. Luckily I had to move queen d8, otherwise I would be lost in this position. So apparently I'm hanging on. But Pac-Man's pal, obviously a dangerous player. Nefedov, this is going to be our last game for today. I think this is going to be our last game. I'm sorry, Kopini, but I'm going to be over over the stream by like 10 minutes. So maybe next time we'll get you a game. Come a little bit earlier. Nefyadov, if Nefyadov's with us, this will be our last game today. Let's play some sort of gambit, you know, to make it fun. Scotch gambit. Danish gambit. What do you want to call this? This is the Scotch gambit. Or is it the Danish? I'm not really sure. Not really sound for white. So you could take on b2. Queen b3, I guess here d5 is pretty complicated. It feels like the Evans almost, except the bishop's not on c5. I don't know any theory. I mean, not really. I mean, I might have seen a game or two in this position in the past, but I'm completely going on instinct. I mean, it looks like this might be a mistake. I had a crazy game that involved bishop takes h6 in a similar line the other day. I'm not sure this even works for me. Huh. I don't know why I assumed this was good for white. Well, it probably is playable. Bishop takes, king takes, queen d5 check. Doesn't seem to do anything. Nefyadov. Nefyadov. We were doing this yesterday, trying to pronounce his name correctly in its native sound. I didn't do a very good job. I've got to recapture this guy now, it looks like. I guess I could play queen e4. Wait a second. Queen e4 though, then d6 or d5. I don't know. This doesn't. Queen e4 e6. Queen e4 d6 e6. What is going on with this position? Wow, craziness. Queen e4. Can that be played? Yeah, but then knight h6 again. But that's not bad for me. This is a really weird idea. I don't know. I feel like I'm wasting time with my queen here, moving it again. It doesn't threaten anything. It definitely doesn't threaten anything. I mean, yeah, this is a sort of waste of time. It's a blitz game. I don't know. This is a weird idea. Okay. Just giving him a tempo. This is not right. I should just recapture on c3 there with reasonable compensation. This move is silly. I think king h8, among other things, is possible. You could meet bishop d3 with f5, for example, in that position. I like getting the king off the long diagonal. Plus, there would be no queen takes g4, bishop h6 type of stuff. I guess I might be threatening queen takes g4, d5, queen g3. What's the trick? I don't know what his trick is. There's got to be something here. So maybe queen e4 actually had a threat to play queen takes knight d5, queen g3, d takes c4, bishop h6, when it's hard to stop the mate or win of exchange. He'd have to play g6 there. Maybe that's a sort of threat, but I still don't feel like I've played this correctly. Something isn't right about the way I played this. I don't know. Queen d5, queen e4 feels strangely slow. World Championship, World Cup in 30 minutes. Yeah, so Aronian is black, and so Ding is white, and so is black. Key games. I mean, both of my favorites are playing with black. I like So and Aronian. Hoping those guys make it to the final. But you know, possibly, maybe the biggest match, in my opinion, of the tournament is taking place between Aronian and Mr. MVL. What is going on around here? You want to play like with a d3 square? All right. Funny game, if nothing else. It was kind of weird. I'm a pawn down. Gambit style for today. A3. Get out of my house. B5. Bishop B3. No problem. He's got to go back through. What's he going to do, actually? Knight D5? I could take on D5 3 times. Maybe that's not even good for him. Maybe he should go back here. My position is not so bad. 2 for 1 sale. I can get 2 pawns. Very likely pick up 2 here. It's a little greedy, but this pawn's blockaded. It's very solidly blockaded. I mean, you have to admit I've got 3 guys controlling the queening square, so it shouldn't get to the 8th rank. I mean, under no circumstances should that pawn land on the 8th rank with any force. And now we've got equal material. We're still well coordinated. That's a little upsetting now. He's highlighting the f2 square, the b2 square. But let's just think this through here. He also hits h6. Hint, hint. With the idea of bishop takes h6, queen takes h6. Massive resource for black there, actually. But we'll throw in an intermezzo. We'll throw in an intermezzo for you. He could play knight takes f2, but I don't think that's sound. That's one of our viewers, Soltigo, would probably do this. I mean, can you really do that? I don't think so. Knight takes, rook takes, bishop c5. I can just protect it with the queen. I think Nefedov has to retreat in this position. Then I have bishop e3, queen takes b2. When I have, I hope, possibility of taking on h6 to detonate his king side. And then we follow up with, we try to follow up with some threats. We'll be back tomorrow night, guys, 7 p.m. with a subscriber stream. Thanks to you 4 guys who subscribed today. Really awesome, because it's been kind of slow the last couple weeks. Just getting back to speed here on the European continent. I was in the US for July and August, and I've been streaming, well, about the better part of 3 weeks now. Nefedov, he doesn't have any tricks here. I mean, he has to play knight h6. Knight takes, rook takes, bishop c5, queen e2, and what? You know, that doesn't make sense. Don't lose on time, Nefedov. It's not that bad. I mean, knight h6 is not that bad. Maybe he got lagged out. What is going on here? I'm making fun of it, but it says it's okay. What? Knight takes f2. I mean, come on now. How does that work? I can't believe it. Knight takes f2, rook takes f2. Show me the money. Bishop c5, queen e1, rook d8. Oh my god. computer land. So Soltigo was right. He wasn't even here, and he was right. I have to play this. But you'd seriously have to have excellent vision to pull this out. You know, now Rook D8. Wow. When you let the engine run, you know, it still thinks white's fine, but maybe even has a small advantage. Absolutely crazy. I don't think I could pull the trigger on knight takes f2. Knight h6, yeah. The problem is, okay, here, I was looking at queen takes b2. Doesn't work. Never mind. I didn't think I'm so much better here. Queen takes h6, rook c1. I'm probably going to win a pawn. So I was looking at bishop e3. When queen takes b2 is dangerous. So he can play like bishop c5 or something else. Anyway, there was one game I wanted to take a look at just momentarily before we end the stream for today, guys. Was it Chess Buzz? Yeah, I wanted to see if I was right about this. If I made this... Well, we both had 10 Centipon loss. What? It's hard to believe. Here against Chess Buzz, it says he's better. This was actually played in games. Stefanova with white. A young Antoinetta in 1999. Little did I know this has actually been played before. I mean, this is weird. The other dude played bishop takes e5. There's actually this move, which I didn't play against Chess Buzz. Knight h5. If you want more, knight d7 is another nice move. But knight takes f7. I didn't know, you know, in that kind of position. That's pretty cool. So we have actually better moves. D takes e5. Bishop takes e5. Queen takes d8. Rook takes d8. Bishop takes e5. Now rook e8. The engine said my move is okay, but I mean, I didn't see what's wrong with this. I mean, I don't know. There's an actual Ilya Smirin game. Oh my god. Then I'm absolutely good. An actual Ilya Smirin game where he beat a 2500 with black in this position. After rook e8, bishop takes f6, bishop takes f6. I mean, f3, f3. Smirin won this ending with black against 2500. I'm sure that he was prepared for a draw psychologically. Wow. But knight takes e4. Whoa. That is awesome. I've never seen this exact theme before, but I have to play rook e8 intermezzo in this position. This did not cross my mind. That is an awesome idea. That equalizes comfortably. You guys ever seen anything like that? That rook e8 in between move, not capturing on g7. Thank you, Stockfish, for your suggestion. So this would have been comfortable equality. So after bishop takes e5, I improved on Ilya Smirin with knight takes e4. And then after bishop takes g7, I stepped on my own face, playing king takes g7. But rook e8. Of course, Smirin may have seen this and figured it's just a draw, so he didn't want to allow 2500 a draw. The other way, he's down a pawn with some good compensation with the bishops on the board. This way, he'd never beat the 2500. It's just a dead draw. Anyway, guys, we'll be back tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Central European time. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you then. Bye-bye.